Hello again, you're watching the ITN World News. 9 women's bodies have now been found in a suburban house in Gloucester in Western England, and police are continuing their search. One of the most disturbing aspects of what's become one of Britain's biggest murder hunts has been the evident ease with which people can go missing. Detectives investigating the case have appealed for missing persons to contact them so they can be ruled out as possible murder victims. Next week, plans will be announced in Britain for the first nationwide computerized database of missing people. But as Rory McLain explains, there are fears that even this may not be adequate to deal with the problem.
It's called the Black Pad, and it's near Coventry, an area of open ground that used to have industry on it and is now fringed by housing estates. It's here that 18-year-old Nicola Payne disappeared 2 years ago, leaving behind the baby boy on whom she doted.
Really well.
Owen is nearly 3 now and enjoys helping his grandmother in the kitchen.
Well, do it all then dry it. Right.
Marilyn Payne's experience has convinced her of the need for a better system for recording details about a missing person on a national scale.
I never took a lot of notice if people went missing. I used to think, oh, they've perhaps got fed up, and that was it, you know. And then when it happened, as Nicola went missing and as time's gone on, and you realise how difficult it is. It's not like when a car goes missing, you know, and it's down on computer, it's national. There's nothing like that for missing people, you know.
Today, Gloucester police turn to the media for help.
Today in the missing file.
Even as another hunt for a missing person was beginning. John Foley has spent 3 years' savings to come to London from the Irish Republic to try to find his father Aidan. His first port of call, local television.
Well, initially I felt that the authorities weren't doing nearly as much as they could do, and it was particularly infuriating for me because I felt, and I did believe that all it would be for them was to tap into a few computers. Initially, at least, that's how I felt. But since I've come here, particularly since I've come here and discussed it with a few people in the media and in the police, I've discovered that there really are an awful lot of cases more crucial than our own.
We had one extraordinary incident where a son did an appeal for a 77-year-old father who was suffering from Alzheimer's and living in a home in North London. The father disappeared from the home and disappeared for 4 years. After the appeal that on the missing file, the son was reunited with his father, who was found in a home in South London, so very close to the previous home. The son was actually horrified that there was no system to actually find his father, that it hadn't been picked up somewhere along the way, although he was registered as a missing person, that his father couldn't be found.
The police sometimes have difficulties coordinating missing person searches when the initial impetus has died down, but the Warwickshire force may have part of the answer. All missing persons are notified to the Family Protection Unit, which even has special facilities for missing children who've been found.
It could be indicative that the child is suffering from a poor home environment, possibly abuse. If the child is suffering, or we suspect abuse has taken place, we'll come to a suite such as this and actually interview the child on video to find out really the reasons why and what's been happening. From there, it will be taken as a normal investigation that we deal with every day.
Family Protection Unit officers in Warwickshire believe that their central role in missing person investigations means that if in 10 years' time another Gloucester case cropped up in their area, they would at least be able to discover which, if any, of their cases was still outstanding.
Since this unit was set up in July '92, we've only got one outstanding person in the county, an Asian lady who clearly doesn't want to be found, but we believe to be safe and well. If we were to be asked to go back several years to look for outstanding missing persons, then that would create its own difficulties. We now have the means by which we can keep in contact with the paperwork. We actually bring up missing person files every 6 months to generate additional inquiries, contacts with the families to see whether or not there's anything further that needs to be investigated.
The magazine, The Big Issue, highlights some of the 30,000 missing people who are notified to the Metropolitan Police annually. Next week sees the start of the first national Home Office Missing Persons Bureau.
I think it's a crying shame that you need another event like the events of the last few days where bodies are being dug up in gardens. I think it's a crying shame that you have to have those kind of things before the government gets off its rear and says, all right, then we're prepared to put £90,000 in, which is a very small amount of money, into creating a register. They should have done it ages ago. They should have listened to the police, who've been calling for it since the mid-80s.
Family protection official about.
The Home Office says it's committed to establishing the national network to exchange information on missing persons, while the Gloucester case may well indicate the need for every local force to centrally coordinate their missing person information for the future, as in Warwickshire.
Can you tell me the name of the child?